Hey, this is Jim at Broadfield. Thanks for joining us for another Broadfield Liquid Lunch and Learn every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Glenn, you're not going to believe it, but we had an empty fridge here in the Broadfield HQ.
Oh shit. Okay. That's why you got water?
That's why I'm drinking water. So
Oh,
we are going to have to rectify that situation. Did you have anything good in your fridge? Look at
nothing
you.
nothing you would like, but I've got Zombie Beach Party. It
Okay.
is a sour ale with pomegranate, apricot, tangerine, and lime from Martin House. So just
Way too many ingredients for me. Way too many. But but I will give you, you still win today because you're not drinking water like I am.
yeah.
So obviously we need a delivery here in the Broadfield HQ.
You could have just said it's because you were out at a concert last night and you hit it too hard.
Yeah, no, too far from the truth. Too far from the truth. So Glenn, I invited you on the show today because I want to introduce to our dealers the Panasonic Kairos system. We've actually introduced it a few times before, but we're taking a different sales approach. We've actually worked a lot together and with the Broadfield purchasing team to lay out some Panasonic bundles that give you a good idea of what the Kairos system is. These bundles kind of walk you through everything from an entry-level SDI production system to kind of a flagship system. And then, of course, these systems can be built for every single step along the way. But by putting these bundle solutions together, it really allows us to position Kairos in the marketplace against some competitive products out there, any of the live production or broadcast production systems that you see. So, Glenn, I want to start by talking about Broadfield being a Kairos Elite distributor. I know you're supporting our sales team all the time. So, what exactly does it mean to be an elite distributor?
Yeah, so we are the only elite distributor, and what it means first off is, as you can see in our New York office, we have a Kairos demo system. So we have a full-blown Kairos Core 200, and that's myself, Gary, and Logan sitting in front of it when we set it up. So that is fully up and running. Both Logan and I have been trained on the product. The other thing too is, the whole beauty of the Kairos is it's designed from the ground up for remote production. So I'm here in Frisco, Dallas, Texas area with access to the Kairos. So I've got a smaller panel here. I've got SRT streams coming into the Kairos. I'm feeding an SRT stream to it as well. So the beauty of this is that, from either New York or from, here in Dallas, I have the ability to present this product. We've actually built this mobile so I can ship this anywhere. We've got a VPN access to it, so you can just plug it into any network and I can get my SRT streams. I can get full control, so I can produce a show from anywhere. And that's the thing. The other thing that we've done along with purchasing is, also working with all the partners to make sure that we have relationships with all the third-party manufacturers that help fill out a Kairos. And that's part of it too, is having those relationships so we can get not just the core Panasonic components, but everything from the little, Rydell, SFP adapter to, a Imagine SNP.
Absolutely. And I know that's a lot of what was involved in the certifications that you and Logan did. It was not only operating the system, but building the system to be able to handle some of these different production workflows, whether it's a house of worship, a sports venue with different format screens, all of those different workflows that we're going to go into today. You guys are really kind of well equipped to help spec out the system and to know when to work with the rest of the Panasonic Kairos team to really make sure that we hit dot every I and cross every T in building together these projects, right?
Yes.
And then Panasonic also just released their emulator software, which is available. So in addition to the demo system we have here in New York, the demo that's available to all of our dealers through coordination with Glen and Logan, we can also get you access to the brand new Kairos emulator software that you can install and check out yourself. All you have to do is create a login through the Panasonic Pass, and you can get that emulator software, and we'll include that link in the video comments as well. So Glenn, let's start at the beginning, but I don't want to spend too much time here. We're going to get into some of the nitty-gritty details. But for our dealers who haven't joined some of our past webinars, what exactly is the Kairos system, and where does it fit into the competitive marketplace today?
Yeah, so the Kairos system. First off, the one thing I want to talk about is when it first came out, it is an IP. It is built from the ground up to be an IP SMPTE 2110 production system. But at NAB they announced the Core 200 PL1 that basically is an SDI only version. So it still is upgradable to full SMPTE 2110 and IP workflows, and it still works with out of the box SRT and NDI. But it is really a production system. The thing that separates Kairos really is it's a graphic. It's all done by GPU processing, and it is all done more looking at a canvas. So it's more in the sense of thinking about things more as a visual creator and being able to work with not just your standard 16 by 9, but I've got up to a 12K canvas that I can work in, which means I can do 32 by 9s. I can do things where I'm producing multiple outputs at the same time. So I can be producing a 16 by 9, a 32 by 9, and a 9 by 16 all from the same thing. Or I can be creating a super wide screen video wall and lots of things. So it's very, very flexible. And that's really what makes it nice is you've got that flexibility of IO. It's built, like I said, from the ground up for REMI. So, right out of the bat, I'm sending from the Kairos, a SRT stream of my multi-view or an SRT stream of my program. I'm sending SRT streams back in. So it's built right away to be able to be done in a remote production workflow. And that's the other thing that sets it apart.
And I think that configurable canvas that you're talking about is one of the features that really makes it such a great system in venue productions. You can drive everything from a traditional scoreboard display to the banner ribbons that would be around the venue or around the stadium. That can all be done through that Kairos creator, through the Kairos platform, and it really gives you that flexible interoperability with wherever you're delivering your productions. So, Glenn, that gets us into some of these unique features of the Kairos system. We talked a lot about that multiple display output ratio, aspect ratios, but there's a lot more to the system too, right?
Yeah, no, and this is a great slide that they talk about is just the way that it can scale. And I think this is one of the things that really separates it is, you know, uh, yes, when you look at the panels, it's laid out with the traditional ME style switcher, but you really have unlimited MEs. You're actually really working on a canvas where I'm not thinking about MEs as much as I'm saying, hey, I want my graphic here, I want a picture here. I'm working on that layout canvas and being able to adjust everything. I have unlimited keyers. Like I said, I have that up to 12K canvas. I've got NDI inputs, SRT inputs, all those different things. So I can really lay out and work the way I want. And I think that's the thing that separates this is, in a traditional ME world, you're constantly having to think about how do I build this in ME? And then when you have to change something, you have to think about rebuilding the ME. In this visual layout world, it's like, okay, great, I built everything. Oh, I want to throw another graphic in there. I can just reposition it. It really unlocks that creative freedom to be able to just think about what you want to create without being bound by how do I make this work. It's scalable. Like I said, you can start with the base unit, which is SDI only. You've got 24 SDI inputs on that. You can then either add as you grow. You can say, hey, I'm ready to do some SMPTE 2110. You can add that 2110 board, or you can add another SDI board for even more SDI inputs. So you can start and just be a baseband product, but you still got SRT built into it as well as NDI. And then, it's also scalable in the way you want to control it. And this is really the neat thing is, I can control, the Kairos just by a touch panel. So there's a piece of software called, the touch panel software, which allows me just to control it from a touch interface. I can control it from a Stream Deck. So just a simple Stream Deck, I can build things and control it that way. I've got the web API. I've got different size control panels. There's a full REST API. So there's lots of different ways of scaling how you want to control this as well.
Absolutely. And that Kairos Creator software is really what's giving you that flexibility. And anytime you talk about a software environment, software is going to, just by its nature, be much more flexible than a hardware control panel is going to be, because there's always going to be a physical location of buttons. What I like about the Kairos value add is that it's really bridging the world of the traditional ME production system, the control panels, the hardware in front of you, But then the move to the software and the scalability and the flexibility and all of that working together really allows you to kind of sell this into a traditional production house or a traditional venue, but then have them move to the future of production with all of those additional tools and flexibilities available to them.
Yeah, and the other thing that's nice about it too is if you look at it, I kind of look at it as combining both a video switcher and a presentation platform. So, if I'm trying to drive just an oversized 32 by 9 LED wall, I could go with a presentation switcher and I could use a video production switcher to feed into that, or I can drive all of that from one surface and one product because I have that capability within there to be just both not just a video switcher but also a presentation system.
Absolutely, and we've done some demos, and there are some demos available from Panasonic Kairos. There is the emulator software available, and we're going to give you some information a little bit later on about a great webinar coming up that Peyton is doing with House of Worship. So we can get into some of the software, and you can definitely learn more about Kairos and the production capabilities. What we want to talk about today is really more how to sell the Kairos production systems. And in doing that, it's really a few different components. It starts with the Kairos core system. Then it's going to be the control options that Glen and I will talk a little bit about. And then it's everything else that you need within that design and workflow to make it all work together. Glen, let's start with the Kairos core systems. Tell us a little bit about the different core products.
Yeah, it really comes down to there's the Core 200 and the Core 2000, and really again it's based on GPU performance. So the big difference really between the two is going to be the GPU and IO capability in it. So the Core 200 is great for SDI with some IP workflows. If you're doing a lot of IP workflows, you're really going to step into the 2000, which is just giving you that far more IP IO. It's got the capability to have multiple ST21 cards in it. So that's really the difference, is just the horsepower, because you're really looking at what am I trying to do, what am I trying to drive, what size screens am I trying to drive, how many inputs am I trying to manage and route. Those are the two key differences between the products.
Absolutely. What type of engine are you putting in the system? And then within these core processor systems, you can look at the Core 200 and configure it with the I/O you need for your production. You can take the Core 2000, and we can talk about several different configurations to meet several different production needs. So this is where the Panasonic Kairos systems become incredibly flexible and customizable. Depending on the client you're working with, the type of production they're doing, the venue that they're driving, we'll start with one of these two core systems and then talk about the different I/O cards and hardware to connect everything within your production environment. And then that also brings us to the second part of the equation, which is the control options. As Glen talked about already, and as you can see on the slide here, there are several different control options available, some hardware, some software, and in most cases, a perfect combination of both. And these can be either on location or remote anywhere. So Glen, walk us through some of these different control capabilities.
Yeah, so you've got really the compact panel and the full size panel. Very very traditional. I mean, the full size panel is going to give you full PTZ control. It's going to give you just a little bit more space and real estate. But the main thing you're really gaining from that is a couple two T bars as opposed to the one T bar in the compact, and then the PTZ controller. It really is about spacing. You're not limited by what you can do. Everything is customizable. You can, fully program your banks to be different things and control different things. It's really just about the real estate and what you want in front of you. Stepping from there, you've got, the touch panel, which is really just, software running on a touchscreen monitor. So now it just becomes something where somebody can walk up and touch the segments and the scenes that they want and change it. The creator, you can do your switching within the creator, but creator is really the core where you're looking at and saying, okay, great, how am I laying these out? And the image you've got 4 pictures in a background. But you can also pull up within the creator itself a soft panel switcher. The REST API, that's just configuring your own thing to execute whether it be from QSys system or your own APIs, just making API calls. And then you can go out and you could buy a Scarhoy control panel if you don't want one of the bigger panels and you just need basic stuff because you're doing very simple things. You go with the Scarhoy panel. Or, where I see these a lot is the Stream Deck. You build the presentation, you've got it, and you've got somebody in a corporate environment doing the presentation, but now they want to control what's going on the screens behind them, behind the LED wall. They can walk up and use a Stream Deck just to push preset buttons and do it. So just a lot of different variation of ways of doing it, and simultaneously too. So you could have the front of house guy, the person doing the presentation, using the Stream Deck to change what he wants bigger or smaller, but somebody could still be using the larger panel to control all kinds of other aspects of the production as well.
Absolutely. And with all of these options and with the Kairos systems, you can take the control and create a remote production and not even have the control capability on site in the same location as the Kairos core systems, right?
Correct. And that's really what we could do here is, I could be switching this show. We've got the same feeds from the studio going into the Kairos. I could switch this show completely remotely. Again, that's the beauty is I'm getting those SRT feeds coming to me so I can see, live what's going on and switch back and forth. So, that's the controller in there. So I've got the same thing here in my facility. So let me just change my camera here real quick. So here I've got access to that same thing. So I can see, the production's going on. And of course, I wasn't planning on doing this, but if I want to change sources, I can change and switch, live on the system itself from within this environment.
I mean, that's great, and it's funny too because one of the things we see here in the Broadfield offices is all of a sudden the Kairos production system will be up and running in the room up front, and someone's producing something, and we realize Glen's logged into it from Texas, probably doing a demo or something for one of our dealers.
Yeah.
So, Glen, one of the things we've done is we've put together a few different pre-configured bundles to really illustrate to our dealers where they can walk their customers through the Kairos purchase journey. One of the most affordable bundles and the easiest ways to start the Kairos conversation is with the KC200PL1, the 200 core basic system with the Kairos Creator and Touch Control Panel software. This whole package comes in at about $41,000. And it is a great way for our dealers to start telling that story, right?
Yep. No, it's one of the things, and that's why when we put this together, it's great to realize that, hey, I can get into a system that is IP ready that can do 2110, but I'm SDI only today, and maybe I'll never be anything other than SDI. But for $41,000, I can get into a powerhouse of a production switcher, like the Kairos, and then know that I can grow it and expand it. And that's really a very powerful statement. A lot of people have said, oh, Kairos is too expensive. It's really not, especially not with the new PL1.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why we put that bundle together too, to show where it fits in the competitive marketplace. At a $41,000 live production system that gives you this SDI capability with the expandability and everything that the Kairos Creator software can do, this is a great bundle and is a great solution that allows you to really position it to your customers that are looking for that next generation of production, but they're also looking to make the investment into a system that can grow as their production needs grow as well.
Right. At 41,000, you've got 24 SDI inputs, 12 SDI outputs. So that is a powerhouse of a system just for SDI. And you can always add another SDI card, which will give you another 8 and 4 to go all the way up to 36 and 16. So if you're just somebody doing a lot of SDI inputs and outputs, that's a great system.
Absolutely. Now, the next thing we did was pull the next bundle, and we added the other component to it, which is the control surface. Here, we've added the compact control panel to the same bundle we just spoke about with the 200 core SDI and the Kairos Creator software all together. This bundle now with that compact control panel is going to come in just under $55,000. Glen, can you tell us a little bit more about that compact control surface?
a compact control surface. Yeah, I mean it's
Come
like I
on, I got
mentioned
bullet
earlier.
points for you, man.
Like I mentioned before, the main thing you're missing is that PTZ control on the side. But other than that, you've got basically two sets of full ME capability. So you've got two sets of two stripe banks. Everything is programmable, like I said. So you can say, okay, great, I'm going to divide this up to being a main program, a sub program. Everything can be adjusted and changed. You've got the two T bars on it. All your LEDs are customizable, so you can actually label things accordingly. So it's a really great panel. It's fully redundant power supply on it as well. It's mainly what I drive from because I'm working from remote. Every
Right.
once in a while, I wish I had the PTZ controller, but that's easily addressed through other tools.
Absolutely. Just it gives you all the tools you need and a complete package with that SDI core coming in at just about 55,000. Now the next thing we did was take a big leap up, and here we're showing the Kairos Ultimate Bundle. Now the Ultimate Bundle is the KC 2000 PS1, which is kind of their flagship mainframe, plus a two-stripe control panel and the touch panel software and the Kairos Creator, and this comes in at 167,000. Now, as you can see, what we just did was laid out a framework from 41,000 to almost 200,000, where these Kairos systems can be configured at every single level in between and everything along the way. So we put these bundles together to really kind of illustrate that point and to show you the kind of power that this ultimate bundle is capable of. So Glenn, tell us a little bit more about that power in this bundle.
Yeah, so that's giving you the one that's going to get you your maximum, 2110 IO capability. It's going to give you that full larger panel, the larger processing power. This is really your workhorse system.
Yep.
And we really put it together to say, hey, this is how far you can go to max it out. The next slide you're going to show is going to be talking about some of the partners. And that's where this also starts to get interesting too, is because now great, we've got this 2110 infrastructure. I can take all these, different sources, but now you start to get into the things like this is where Imagine comes in with their SNP, which is a 2110 router. You've got, Rydell out there or Riedel, who's going to handle all of the conversions, from, SDI to SFP and all those different things. So there's a lot of things that go into this. And again, and the Matrox for the convert IP. So maybe you need to take a camera that can't handle IP and convert it from HDMI into 2110 or vice versa. So there's a lot of things that plug in and finish out this entire workflow. And, that's where Logan and I come in, your Panasonic reps come in, and we can kind of help you kind of flesh all this stuff out together and say, okay, great, you need this, you need the S&P. And those are the relationships that Broadfield has built as part of our Panasonic Elite Kairos distributor program, is to make sure we have relationships and we are stocking some of these things so that when somebody says, hey, we need this little, SDI to SFP adapter from Riedel, we've got it. We will have that in stock, and that's the beauty of it. And it really becomes a great opportunity to look at and really dive into somebody's workflow. So I geek out on it a little bit because it's more than just these inputs. It's an entire ecosystem you have to build.
Absolutely. The Kairos Partner Alliance has quite a few logos on it, but these logos are pulled right from the Broadfield line card. There are a lot of these partners that we are working with, that we're making sure we have the right products for you to build these workflows. And it was one of the commitments we made to Panasonic in being a Kairos Elite distributor, is that we were going to become a single source for the entire project, allowing you to put everything together. In fact, it's another reason why Broadfield has brought in and started working with Absent on their LED display solutions, is because part of the thing that's happening in these venues for the productions is they're also talking about the displays that these productions are being sent to. So now in a house of worship or venues like that, you can build your entire production system, all of the workflow components in between, and your display solutions, and you can do all of that right from Broadfield, right through the Broadfield line card. Glen, Logan, all of our manufacturer sales reps, a huge resource of people available to kind of help you put this all together. And when we talk about putting it all together, that brings us to kind of these pictogram slides that show you some of these different workflows, right, Glenn?
Yep. But this is a great one that shows you this, the simplest workflow. And I think that has been the thing. A lot of people just think that the Kairos is, beyond what they're looking to. It's too high end, but this is great. I mean, we were working with just traditional PTZ cameras here, robotic cameras. We're taking just, any of the Panasonic cameras. You can work with any camera. Of course, control is better with, Panasonic cameras. They work really great with those. You've got full control of them. But, then we're just feeding, a video wall or a projector. So, we're going to mention the House of Worship show that is coming up. But, these are great in House of Worship. We've got several in there. And again, where Kairos also does really well is driving those multiple displays. And that's why it's great for House of Worship, because you not only have just the iMag screen that's going on, but you may have video presentations going on other panels throughout the church. And this system can drive all of those. Like I said, I can produce a 32 by 9 and a 9 by 16 simultaneously out of the same box, either using the same inputs and the same sources or different sources altogether, just producing it all from the same system at the same time.
Absolutely. House of Worship, obviously very easy to picture that scenario. Sports production, we talked about already, whether you're talking about everything from the scoreboard signage to the banner displays that go throughout the venue. Traditional venues, anything that's broadcast in a band, a concert, with the display screens on the side of the stage, even theaters at this point are all looking for these different display solutions, and having that flexibility in the Kairos production system really helps make that easy. And Kairos is also very capable of going all the way up into the broadcast world with support now for ST2110 as well. And I'm guessing just by the sheer volume of stuff that we're looking at on the screen here, this would be more of that type of a workflow, right?
Yeah, this is definitely a higher end broadcast workflow. You've got, multiple, IP sources, traditional PTZ cameras, but and that's again, we've got the wrong core in there. That's the older Kairos core. That would be more of a scenario where this would probably be, that $147,000, Kairos 2000 that we put in there, because you're going to be dealing with so many more sources. And that's kind of the beauty, is you can go from that SDI workflow all the way up to that broadcast workflow.
Absolutely. And that's where I don't want to say that's where the sales becomes difficult, but that's where the sales requires attention. And that's why Broadfield is offering all of these resources to our dealers to help you and your customers throughout this entire process. Whether it's setting up the demo, getting involved in the emulator software, the training, the certification, the building the quote, the talk about the third party stuff. Broadfield is a resource for all of that. You can reach out directly to your Broadfield salesperson. We'll connect you with Glen and Logan as well. We'll bring in Panasonic, the Kairos team, Imagine, Matrox, anyone else that we need to bring in along the way to start talking about those different components to make sure that we can handle the entire project all the way across. I wanted to show again those three bundles that we put together and that you can see for yourself on our website at broadfield.com. But it starts with the KC200PL1, which is the core unit and the touch control software at $41,200. Stepping up to that bundle with the compact control panel comes in at just under $55,000. And then the flagship with the Core 2000, the ultimate two-stripe control panel, and the touch panel software for about $167,000. And then this is where your creativity and working with your clients is going to be the everything in between. We are not telling you to jump your clients and upsell them from a $41,000 system to a $167,000 system. What we're doing is showing you all the space that's available in between to build the perfect production system for your needs, right, Glenn?
Yeah, no, that's the beauty. I mean, we picked three to kind of say, hey, this is, where you can start. This is for somebody that wants tactile control, and this is, hey, I want everything.
Yep.
But we can take that, the larger control panel and put it in that middle bundle, and we just shift the price by maybe $5,000 or something like that,
Right.
and now you've got that bigger control panel, or we can add the touch panel to it. All these are completely configurable, but these are just kind of some nice landing points to get that conversation started with your customer.
Absolutely. It's part of the conversation is, are you working your customers into the BMW dealership or the Maserati dealership and everything in between? So I do want to close out by telling you that there is going to be a great webinar coming up. Payton from Panasonic Kairos. He is the Kairos Platform Product Manager. He will be doing a House of Worship webinar on Friday, September 27th with Church of the King. They have installed the Kairos production system there in the church, and Payton is going to walk you through the workflow and some of the different purchase decisions they made in setting up that system. We do have the registration link here on the slide available now. We will also post it in the details for the video. So I do suggest that if you have interest in the Kairos systems, that you go register and tune in for that webinar as well. If you have questions on pricing, configuring the systems, or even knowing what kind of clients to go out and pitch the Kairos system to, you can work with your Broadfield sales team and give us a call at 800-634-5178. At some point in that conversation, we are going to bring Glen and Logan into the discussion to either walk you through the demo system that we have here in New York, or to help configure the quote specifically for your clients. In doing so, I want to remind all of our dealers to make sure that when you register your Kairos opportunities, that you select Broadfield from the Panasonic Deal Reg window. By selecting Broadfield, it allows us to make sure that we get that SPL and we get you the best pricing available on the entire package on the Kairos system. Glen, any other parting words for our dealers today?
No, honestly, reach out to me. I mean, like I said, we've got the demo system. We are gung ho to go and use it and do demos and help your folks understand it. It's a fun system. I love talking about it. It is a very different way of being creative, and it solves so many problems. But definitely reach out to us. Use us as a resource. We are here for this.
Absolutely. If you'd like to schedule a demo, we can start there as well. Like I said, the system is up and running. If you're going to be in the New York area, come check it out. Broadfield doors are always open. Work with your Broadfield salesperson, and we'd be happy to coordinate that as well. Thanks for tuning in every Thursday at 1 p.m. Until next week, cheers.
Cheers.
Broadfield Distributing is a value-added distributor of live production, streaming, video editing, and storage products. We only sell to resellers. We are always looking for new dealers. So call us at 1-800-634-5178 or email sales@broadfield.com. You'll like doing business with Broadfield because we make it easy to do business.